year 1976 was a massive turning point in American history, marking the nation's bicentennial and a shift in the cultural atmosphere. But in the music industry, rock was facing an identity crisis. Disco was taking over the airwaves, and punk was brewing in the underground. Yet, right in the middle of this chaos, 1976 produced some of the most enduring, masterful rock anthems ever recorded. These weren't just hits, they were sonic achievements that defied the trends of the moment. The most shocking part? The absolute biggest rock sound of the year didn't come from $1 million studio. It was secretly engineered in a basement by a guy who still went to his day job at Polaroid the next morning. Number 10, American Girl by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers' Year. 1976 chart peak did not chart in the US initially, reached number 40 in UK Hook Fact. This song perfectly captured the 1960s jangle rock sound so well that Roger McGuinn of The Byrds actually thought he wrote it and forgot. Behind the scenes detail. Recorded on the 4th of July, 1976, during the height of the bicentennial celebrations. The song was heavily inspired by the sound of cars driving on the freeway outside the studio. Petty and his band were virtually unknown, and the single completely flopped on American radio upon release. Technical, cultural detail. The distinctive rhythm is built on a Bo Diddley beat, played at double the traditional speed to give it an urgent, nervous energy. Why it matters? Despite its initial commercial failure, it became the defining anthem of Petty's career and a blueprint for heartland rock. Number 9, Detroit Rock City by Kiss. Year 1976. Chart peak, number 47 on Billboard Hot 100 Hook Fact. It was written to be the ultimate heavy metal anthem, but radio stations completely ignored it, until a DJ accidentally flipped the record over and made the B-side ballad a massive hit instead. Behind the scenes detail. Paul Stanley wrote the lyrics after a fan was tragically killed in a car accident outside a Kiss concert in North Carolina. To capture the atmosphere, producer Bob Ezrin recorded actual street noises in New York and used a real news broadcast about a car crash for the intro. Technical cultural detail. The song features a highly unusual dual guitar solo that Stanley and Ace Frehley played entirely in harmony, a technique that heavily influenced the new wave of British heavy metal. Why it matters? It cemented Kiss not just as a visual spectacle, but as capable musicians who could compose complex, story-driven, hard rock. Number 8, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap by AC/DC. Year 1976 chart peak. Number 4 on Billboard Hot 100 upon 1981 US re-release, Hook Fact. The sinister title of this gritty hard rock track was actually stolen directly from a popular children's morning cartoon. Behind the scenes detail. Angus Young lifted the catchphrase from Dishonest John, the villain in the animated show, Beanie and Cecil, who carried a business card reading Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. The band also included a specific phone number in the recording, which unfortunately belonged to a real couple in Australia who ended up suing the band over incessant prank calls. Technical, cultural detail. The heavy, marching rhythm of the chorus was designed specifically to match the stomping feet of rowdy pub audiences in Sydney. Why it matters? It solidified the template for ACC's minimalist, blues-driven menace that would eventually conquer the globe. Number 7, Blinded by the Light by Manfred Mann's Earth Band. Year 1976 chart peak. Number 1 on Billboard Hot 100 Hook Fact. This is the only song written by Bruce Springsteen to ever reach number 1 on the Billboard charts, and he didn't even perform it. Behind the scenes detail. Springsteen's original 1973 acoustic-driven version was a total commercial failure. Manfred Mann took the track, heavily synthesized it, and changed a crucial lyric about a deuce, a hot rod car. Because of the singer's pronunciation, listeners across America assumed he was singing about a feminine hygiene product. Technical cultural detail. The controversy over the misheard lyric triggered millions of phone calls to radio stations, artificially driving up requests and pushing the song to the top of the charts. Why it matters. It proved that progressive rock arrangements and heavy synthesizers could be successfully married to blue-collar American songwriting. Number 6. The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy. Year 1976 chart peak. Number 12 on Billboard Hot 100 Hook Fact. The band's management absolutely hated the track and originally refused to include it on the album. Behind the scenes detail. Thin Lizzy was nearly broke and on the verge of being dropped by their record label when they recorded their Jailbreak album. The song was deemed too aggressive for radio until 2 local DJs in Louisville, Kentucky got a hold of an import copy and started playing it on a continuous loop, forcing the label to release it as a single. Technical cultural detail. The track utilizes a Celtic folk melody structure transposed onto 2 heavily distorted electric guitars, creating a unique twin lead sound. Why it matters? It became the ultimate working-class weekend anthem and saved Thin Lizzy from complete obscurity. Number 5, Show Me the Way, live by Peter Frampton year. 1976 chart peak. Number 6 on Billboard Hot 100 Hook Fact. The studio version of this exact same track was released a year prior and was a complete and total commercial disaster. Behind the scenes detail. Frampton was struggling to find an audience until he recorded his live shows in late 1975. He only used the talkbox guitar effect as a gimmick to entertain the crowd, but the audience's overwhelming roaring reaction to the robotic voice was captured perfectly on the live tape. Technical cultural detail. The live album Frampton Comes Alive stayed on the Billboard 200 for 97 weeks, fundamentally changing how record executives viewed the profitability of live rock albums. Why it matters. It turned a mid-tier rock guitarist into the biggest superstar on the planet overnight, defining the arena rock sound of the late 70s. Number 4. Night Moves by Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. Year 1976 chart peak. Number 4 on Billboard Hot 100 Hook Fact. Seger agonized over writing the lyrics for 6 months, but the actual music was recorded as a rushed afterthought with musicians he had just met that day. Behind the scenes detail. Seger was deeply inspired by the nostalgia of the film American Graffiti and wanted to write a song about his own teenage years in Michigan. Because his regular band had already flown home, he hurriedly recorded the track in Toronto using the rhythm section from the band, the Guess Who, piecing the arrangement together on the spot. Technical cultural detail. The song abruptly shifts tempos and goes completely silent in the middle, a massive radio taboo that Seger insisted on keeping to simulate a fading memory. Why it matters. It bridged the gap between acoustic storytelling and heartland rock, cementing Seger as a premier American songwriter. 3. Somebody to Love by Queen. Year 1976 chart peak. Number 13 on Billboard Hot 100 Hook Fact. Freddie Mercury openly admitted to the press that he believed this song was vastly superior to Bohemian Rhapsody. Behind the scenes detail. Frustrated that critics thought Queen was just a hard rock novelty act, Mercury wanted to write a pure gospel track, inspired by Aretha Franklin. Since they didn't have a gospel choir, Mercury, Brian May, and Roger Taylor stood in a studio for a week, singing the chorus over and over until they had built a massive wall of sound. Technical cultural detail. The final track consists of over 100 individual vocal overdubs, layered onto a single magnetic tape, pushing analog studio technology to its absolute breaking point. Why it matters. It proved Queen was not a one-hit wonder, with Bohemian Rhapsody showcasing their unmatched ability to blend different musical genres into stadium rock. Number 2. Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult. Year 1976 chart peak. Number 12 on Billboard Hot 100 Hook Fact. The The song is universally interpreted as a dark anthem about suicide, which deeply horrified the man who wrote it. Behind the scenes detail. Guitarist Buck Dharma wrote the track while anxiously awaiting a doctor's diagnosis, intending it to be a positive, romantic song about eternal love surviving beyond death. The legendary cowbell percussion, which later became a massive cultural meme, wasn't even played by the band. It was added by producer David Lucas against the band's initial wishes. Technical cultural detail. The intricate, hypnotic guitar riff was recorded in a single, flawless take, giving the track a chilling, relentless momentum. Why it matters. It brought an eerie, literary sophistication to hard rock, proving that heavy music could be deeply atmospheric and philosophical. Number 1. More Than a Feeling by Boston. Year. 1976 chart peak. Number 5 on Billboard Hot 100 Hook Fact. The most pristine, massive-sounding rock song of the decade fooled record executives into thinking it was made in a Hollywood studio, but it was secretly recorded in a suburban basement. Behind the scenes detail. Tom Scholz, an MIT graduate who worked at Polaroid, spent 5 years obsessively recording this track in his Massachusetts basement. He invented his own pedals and amplifiers to get the perfect guitar tone. When he finally got a record deal, the label demanded he re-record it in a professional studio, but Scholz just tricked him by bringing his basement tapes to Los Angeles and pretending they were new recordings. Technical, cultural detail. Scholz layered multiple acoustic guitars underneath the heavy electric power chords, a unique frequency mixing technique that gave the song its massive, arena-filling sound. Why it matters? It completely changed the sound of corporate rock for the next decade. Scholz proved that an obsessive engineer with a singular vision could outproduce the biggest, most expensive studios in the world, giving us the ultimate anthem of 1876. Looking back at 1976, it's clear that the greatest rock tracks weren't manufactured by focus groups or corporate boardrooms. They were born from happy accidents, basement tinkerers, and bands fighting for their absolute survival. These tracks survived the death of disco and outlasted the shock of punk. Because some songs simply climb the charts to become hits, but others capture lightning in a bottle and end up defining the soundtrack of our lives forever.